Now, let's talk about the US election. Trump supporters have released another parody advert for the Kamala Harris campaign. Have a look.
Look, I get it. I'm unlikable. I'm inauthentic. I say crazy shit.
It is time for us to do what we have been doing, and that time is every day. When we talk about the children of the community, they are children of the community. You need to get to go and need to be able to get where you need to go to do the work and get home.
And yes, okay, I was the border czar. And so even though I might have been a bad vice president, what I do have is ambition. You would not believe what I would do for this country.
Mixture of AI, comedy, and most of the clips that are actually real. That's really Kamala saying some of those ridiculous things in her speeches. But humour, memes, videos like that, they're a big feature of this election campaign, and they really seem to speak to people who don't consume media as we used to. They're getting their media from new outlets, from social media, from podcasts, from all sorts of places.
If a picture is worth 1,000 words, I think these videos and parody videos are worth 1,000,000. They stick, people remember them. Interlacing news with comedy isn't new, like Jon Stewart and that whole genre used to do that. This just does it better, faster, real time. On a serious note, as video editing technology and AI continues to grow, there might be some legislative issues that come in. I know Governor Gavin Newsom is challenging the idea.
Well, these are just ones, fans. These aren't official campaign ads. So these are just people on
And as long as it's disclaimed, which it is at the end, it's fine. It's not like you're misleading the person. And, they're memorable. And as you said, in her case, I would say 80% of it is real and 20% of it is added.
Well, talking about new ways of consuming news, podcast giant Joe Rogan, the most listened to podcast in the world, he's asking some serious questions about how Kamala Harris went from being the most unpopular vice president in history to now being some sort of a American hero.
So everybody forever was like, Kamala Harris is the worst vice president. She's the least popular vice president of all time. And then in a moment in time, all of a sudden she's our solution. She's our hero. Everybody's with her. All these social media posts about her. Try Googling a negative story on her. You won't find one.
Now, that is a key point there. Google and Meta, that's Facebook, Instagram, are certainly going out of their way to fortify another election. It's something that is being noticed by more and more Americans, including people, big wigs in Silicon Valley like Elon Musk. That is a concern because Google's power in particular is enormous. They've got a virtual monopoly. That's how we find information. And there are so many examples of what people doing a Google search in case, for example, Donald Trump rally, and all the top results are about Kamala Harris. And trying to get negative stories, trying to find old stories on Kamala is becoming increasingly difficult because the first page is just populated by what looks like propaganda pieces.
Very true. We were talking just a moment ago about AI and all of that outpacing the legislative frameworks. The biggest example of that is Google, most powerful company ever created in human history in terms of its market cap, and the product they sell is information flow. So it's doubly important. I think Trump's assassination attempt, that was big news last week, is now hard to find, or you're searching for his rallies and hers come up. It's a big deal.
Well, Facebook, Meta, marked that iconic image of him putting his fist up and that fight motion with the American flag above his head. They said that was fake, and then they came out and apologised, but I think they had to apologise because they got caught.
Right.
And there was a backlash.
And they do it 7 days later, so the damage in those 7 days is irreversible to an extent because a lot of people are influenced by this. It's a huge issue. I think there's a Joe Rogan-sized hole in the facade. There's an X and Elon Musk-sized hole in the facade. So those few things are kind of poking at it, thankfully. Otherwise, we can only imagine without those platforms how powerful it would be. But it's a big problem, and I think Kamala is a case in point of somebody who was on record very, very unpopular, as evidenced by her poll results in the primaries in her own election in San Francisco as the DA versus how she is now. The polling, which is tightening, says it all.
Well, I'm not surprised it's tightening because we still have a large portion of the population who do consume media through to those traditional methods, and it's just been a Kamala honeymoon unlike anything we've seen. It's been incredible to witness. They're not even subtle about it. I thought there'd be a bit more subtlety, but they've surprised me with that. Now, motorcycle manufacturer Harley Davidson, the iconic brand, they've angered many of their loyal base by going woke. Journalist Robbie Starbuck has exposed the company's leftist activism, and there's been a backlash from the company's mainly conservative customer base, including UFC star Sean Strickland.
I've owned Harleys most of my life, but I will never own a Harley again. If you love America, you won't own a Harley. And let me explain to you guys why I'm so upset and why you should be upset. The CEO of Harley is a woke zealot. This man wrote the book on wokeism. He wants to fundamentally change who you are, how you live, and how you think, and how you raise your family.
Seems some corporates still haven't learned from Bud Light's self-inflicted damage.
Like Bud Light, Harley Davidson, a great, iconic 120-year-old American brand. There's so much imagery on it. If you look back, during World War II, and icons like Brigitte Bardot on it and all this stuff. And then now you see how far it's come away from the consumers and made it what it is. I think there's one of two explanations. Either they haven't learned, or if you want to be more sinister, they're doing exactly what the intent is, which is institutional capture, taking over some of these iconic brands that are loved, truly loved by a certain side, one side of the political aisle, and trying to throw a big monkey wrench in them.
Will be interesting to see, because unlike Bud Light, a motorcycle, it's a lifestyle, it's a big investment. It's harder to walk away from. There's a 500 beer brands you could pick from. There's not too many Harley Davidsons that you can replace if you love that lifestyle and love those bikes. But the backlash is certainly there. Whether it translates into lost sales, we'll keep an eye on.
Yeah.
Kersha Gator, thank you so much for your time this evening.